it's Tammy with Debbie Tammy Creations, and we're going to be making this pendant today. And it is sort of a squashed teardrop, and it has a little dangle bead. So for this one, I've chosen a little white bead, and it is about, let's see, 3/4 of an inch tall and about an inch wide, so it's kind of wide. And I'm using this dowel here, which is about an inch wide too, which will help me to create the little curve to go around the stone when the time comes. I've also got 4 lengths of square 20 gauge dead soft wire, and these are each, let me see how long they are, 13.5 inches long. So I just sort of eyeball that based on my stone. So I just take the wire kind of underneath the stone, and then after it comes up, I gauge, and I want to make sure there's at least 3 to 4 inches of length on each side for the bail and everything. We will also be needing some half round wire. So I've got 2 lengths of about 4 inches each. And I think this little bead is 8 millimeters. You could use 6 or 8. You'll need flush cutters, round nose pliers, chain nose. This is a pin vise, which I'm going to use to twist one of my square wires. And you may or may not need nylon jaw pliers, but I like to have them on hand, as well as a dowel, but this is really not required. So to begin, let me just move some of this stuff out of the way. We're going to start with our pin vise and one of our square wires and our chain nose pliers. So you're going to open the pin vise by twisting until the center part opens enough to fit your wire in, and then you twist the other way to tighten it down. Oops, I think well, let's see. Yeah, you got to twist the whole thing, not just the end. And then that makes it nice and tight. And then with my non-dominant hand, my left hand, I'm going to hold the other end with my chain nose pliers and then just twist. So you twist the whole pin vise, and I'm going to make it really tight twist. Okay, so that it's very easy to see. And then I release it, and there you can see it's a nice twist there. So now that's going to be my top wire. It's going to be the one that does this little crisscross over the top of the stone. So after you have twisted one wire, we're going to pick up another one, and this is going to be the bottom one, and we're just going to cross the wires over each other until we have a nice little oval there. And this is what our bead is going to dangle from, okay? This is going to become our bottommost wire. So I'm just going to make these kind of flat out to each side. Put the other 2 on top of it, the 2 square ones that are not twisted, and the twisted one on the very top, okay? Now we're going to take one of our half round wires, flat side up, and place it underneath these 4. Then I'm going to come over and around 5 times. And it's really just however many times you feel it needs to be secure. And then squish them together and move them closer to the center like this. And then I push them down with my jaw pliers, come around to the back and trim these off. Okay. And then once they're trimmed, I like to push those down as well. And you can do that with your chain nose pliers if you don't have nylon jaw pliers. Okay, now coming back around to the front, we pick up our other half round wire, find the flat side, and put it underneath the 4 wires. I'm just holding it here with my index finger and bring it up and around so that we see the rounded side up and the flat side is against the 5 or the 4 base wires. Okay, move those into the close to the little hoop, and then squish those down when you like where they are. Flip it over and trim. Okay, and then I squish those 2 down. All right, so now I think using 2 different lengths of half round wire is going to help, because on this one I used 1 length and I just kind of skipped over to do the other side, and you can see here it's kind of off center, but I think this will make it much better. So now we're going to, since this is going to be on top of our stone, we're going to start rounding it, and I'm going to use my dowel for this. So I am kind of notorious for getting my base wires off center, kind of off to one side. So I think my dominant side is very strong. So I just want it to be more central like this. And the bottom of the stone is actually kind of flatter. So I'm just gonna make this a little flatter and set my stone in here just to make sure that it fits. Yeah, and that looks good. So from here, I'm gonna straighten the sides out a bit because this is kind of an odd shape. It's not really a teardrop, but kind of a squat one. And then I'm going to turn it over without the stone, and I'm going to take the backmost wire, kind of get in between the back wire and the next wire here, and with my chain nose I'm going to go inside here and just bend it inward like that, and I'm going to kind of push this back over there. Same thing on the other side. So we get underneath that back wire and the next one, and you kind of twist your wrist to bring it inward like that. Okay, and that just makes this little spot for your stone to sit on so that it doesn't fall out the back. Okay, and when you get it back in there, you can kind of adjust how you want that to be. Okay, now from here I'm going to straighten out the wires at the very top, and this is going to make my bail. Okay, and what I want to do though is I'm going to take the front wire, which is the one that I twisted, on either side, and I'm going to cross them over the front of the stone like this. Okay, and then these are going to wrap around the rest of the wires, which you kind of want to get lined up so they're going straight up. To make your bail like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take one side. I'm going to bring it around, making sure that all of these are in line. And making sure that these on this side are in line. Okay. And then I'm going to take the other side and cross it over. And bring it around as well. You kind of have to push it against the stone so that it doesn't come up. So once you have those crossed around, we can go ahead and trim these because we're not going to need them anymore. So I'm just going to trim these a little bit shorter. And with my round nose pliers, I'm going to just curl them around into little spirals in the back. So they'll be hidden behind the bail. Like that. Okay. Just kind of press those down. Then I'm going to separate out the front. I'm going to take my front wire on each side. And then I've got 4 more wires in the back. So just move these to the sides for now. And oh, you're also going to need 28 gauge round wire for wrapping. And I forgot to mention that at the beginning. So I've got a huge thing of it here. And you can work right off the spool if you want. I'm going to trim off about 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet of that. And you're going to begin, I like to insert it in between the bottom and the next wire, and then bring that little tail underneath, and I kind of hold on to that tail for a few minutes. And then I'm going to go around this bottom wire 3 times just to secure it. Okay. I think I've got these crossed the wrong way, so let me just straighten those out. That should be on that side. It's hard to tell there actually, but let me just get those kind of in position. So now I'm going to go around the bottom 2. So I like to go up and over the 2 and back under the bottom one, and up and over the 2 and over and back under the bottom one. Now I'm going to bring it up in between the bottom 2, and I'm going to go around the middle 2 twice. Bring it up in between the middle 2 and around the top 2 times. In between the middle 2 and around the top 2 twice. Now coming back down is a little bit easier. We just go around each one time. So I'm going to go under the top one and around it, and in between and under the second one and around it, in between and around the next one, and under the bottom one and around the bottom one. Okay. So we can just continue in that way. So I do 2. You can actually do any kind of weave that you like. Some people like to do the figure 8 weave, and that one's pretty too. But I think for this one, I'm just going to do 2 going up and then 1 around each one coming back down. Okay, and once we have reached this point, so maybe not quite an inch, 3/4 of an inch going up, then I will be back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so based on the size of my stone, I have chosen to do about 3/4 of an inch tall for my bail. And that matches pretty much what I did on this one too. Okay, maybe a tiny bit bigger. And then what you do is squish them down as much as possible. Then you're going to bend inward each of these wires so that we can reverse it for the back. Okay, so what we're going to do, I like to push them in and then make a little outward, going outward like this. That way you can get in between them a little bit easier. And I'm not going to need all of this excess, so I'm going to go ahead and trim these down. Okay, so I made those probably 4 inches above my stone on either side, and I really didn't need that much. Okay, so now as you come back down, I've just come down, and I'm at the bottom here, and I'm ready to start completing this on the back. This is where the bail is going to bend. So going back up, you just do the same thing, but now we're going to have to work a little harder to keep these from pushing up. So you'll see what I mean when you start doing it. They kind of want to slide up this way, so you really have to hold those with your fingers. And then I'm doing 1 and 1, 1 and 1. And the other thing that you really want to be aware of is that your wires stay kind of equidistant. So I did a pretty good job of that coming up. Looks like they're this one on the second one is kind of leaning a bit to the left, but that's going to be in the back, so that's going to be okay. All right, and we just repeat that. So 2 around the bottom 2, 2 around the middle 2, and 2 around the top 2, and then 1 around the top, 1 around the next one. Push those down, 1 around the next one, and 1 around the bottom one. All right, and we're going to repeat this until we get to where I've bent these. And we want that to kind of, we want those to kind of be a little closer together there at the very top. So I'll show you one more time. 2 around the bottom. In between those 2, 2 around the middle. In between those 2 and 2 around the top. And then 1 coming down. 1, 1, 1. All right, and I am going to do another one around the bottom because I've run out of wire. This happens sometimes. So I'm just gonna trim that off. This is why it's good to work from the spool, because then you don't run out of wire. So I'm gonna just cut off another probably 1.5 feet. And I'm gonna have to start again. So I'm gonna go, let's see, I'm just gonna go around the bottom one a couple times to secure it. And then starting anew 2. I'm not going to worry too much because this is going to be in the back. All right, so we're just going to continue that pattern until I have reached the bottom, and I'll meet you back. So now I'm back, and I have continued the pattern up, and now I am going to secure this by going around the bottom wire another couple times, and then I'm going to trim that off in the back and just sort of press it down. Okay, now we're going to bend it right in the center where our, so that we can have our bail like this, okay? And I do have that extra tail I need to trim off. Okay. And now we've got all these wires. And what I did was I just made the little curly cues around in the back like I did for the first two. But what we're going to do first in order to secure this is we're going to bring these around on either side. So that way when we put our, I'm just going to close this up a little better, put our chain through, it won't fall out. Okay, so we want this closed up here. Now, I brought those around, and now I'm going to make these 4 bail wires each a bit shorter, so then I can make little curly cues with the round nose, and these are just gonna kind of be hidden in the back. Okay, there's 1, 2, and then these 2. Do the outside one first. Just twist and turn. And the last one. Okay, so really we just want to make sure that they're not sticking up where when someone wears this, they'll feel those ends. So I just kind of push them down and make sure that they're not sharp anywhere there. Okay, so now I want to hide those a little bit better. So let me just, I'm going to turn them inward a bit so that they're not so visible from the front, and then squish them down. There we go. Okay, so now what I did was I made little circles. So the one on the right, I brought around and into a little curly cue on the bottom, like this. Okay, and I'm going to trim it. Oops. And with the round nose pliers, I'm going to finish the curl kind of inside itself here. Okay, then I'm going to center it better. Press that down. Okay, and then this one I'm going to do the other direction. So I bring it up and around this way. And trim it off. This one I'm not going to make quite as curly. I'm just going to tuck it in a tiny bit here. And push it down. Okay. Now, see what I mean? My dominant hand, I just always tend to pull everything over to one side. So, but I can rearrange that so that this is down in the center. And now what we need to do is take one of our, you're gonna just need another piece of the square wire. It'll be 4 inches. And this is what I'm going to put my little bead on, okay? That I'm gonna dangle. All right, So first though, I'm going to make a tiny little curlicue. So you can see what I did here at the bottom of this one. Made a little curlicue. So I'm going to circle this around. And then I can put my bead on. Okay. And now I'm just going to bend it over and put my round nose on top and bring this around like this. Okay, and before I trim it, I'm going to go ahead and stick this in here like that. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around a couple times right there, just so it's really secure, but it will still dangle. And then trim off the excess and kind of tuck that down. Okay, and there it is. So I hope you enjoyed that. I will oxidize it and post so that you can try it. Thank you.